Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Scott here from The Entrepreneur, and happy hump day. So, one of the things I want to talk to you today about is the theme selection for Shopify. Now, a lot of you may think, well, it's just a theme, or I just want to go with a free theme, or, does it really matter? And I'm here to tell you that yes, the selection of your theme opens up a greater conversation that needs to be had, whether it is just you by yourself who wants to critically think about what product you're selling and how you're trying to present yourself, or even a conversation that you should discuss with your team to try and really assess what are the pros and cons of different themes. So just the very basics, if you have never seen Shopify's themes, all you got to do is type in Shopify themes on Google, and that will get you right to the theme store. So what Shopify generally does, it will use one of the current themes, and I believe this is a free theme, to market it. So you see usually one of the most popular things on here, and then you can scroll right down here. It says trending by this week. So you can see some of the very popular ones, which I believe are all free, correct? And yeah, and that I guess brings us to our first point, is free versus paid. And in my experience, it really depends on how serious you are about building an online store. Of course, how much capital you have initially to invest into your store is also a question. But again, most of these themes are really not that expensive. And what I mean by not that expensive is a couple $100. Now, that might seem like a lot initially, especially when you are pre-sales and you're trying to set things up. But consider a few things between free versus paid. So one of the things that you should definitely consider is, what kind of support am I getting with my theme? And the thing with free themes, like let's take a look at a few of them that all look really great, is that A, you don't get any support with it. B, they're usually limited in their functionality. And C, the combination of those three things is, if you don't have support and you're limited in what you can do, and you're not necessarily someone who has a strong technical background or even a coder on your team, now you have to start outsourcing those types of parts, or you may even run into issues where you don't really know how to deal with certain issues or bugs that may happen in your app or your store. So, but it is easy to jump into a free one, and maybe the right move for you is to just start on a free one to get familiar with the way Shopify works, which I guess is not a bad thing to start if you just want to get comfortable. So if we want to look at the demo here. All right, this is overall a pretty cool theme. However, one of the things that I'm noticing here immediately is that this is overall a very basic layout. And I would assume that when you go into the actual app and you start working in it, that you are limited to sort of this layout. And that, for you, of course, then begs the question, is this a layout that is really going to work for me? And that is a question you should definitely ask yourself. So free versus paid, like I said, I think if you are halfway serious about opening a store and really selling products, and you don't know your way around Shopify just yet, it is a good investment to buy a paid theme, simply because you get the customer support, which tends to be really great. So let's see, I have a theme that I really like, which is not that complex, but it's really visual. And so if you have a product that is extremely visual and you want to tell a story, right, you want to find a theme that accents that emphasizes that really leverages that aspect of your brand. One of the great things about some of the paid apps is that they also show where it is featured, right? In this case, Ira theme, which I believe is made by Fluorescent. You click in here and you can see all the different shops that are actually currently running on it. And so we can just kind of click on some of these. So I'm not sure what this is. This is a jewelry store that actually exists in real life. And here we now can see what this looks like. So this is an actual real company. And it is a really visual app. So again, I'm not trying to sell you on this. I'm just saying, click through some of these, see if you can find stores that are actually using a particular app that you're interested in, and get some real ideas in terms of how flexible it is and how much you can do with it. Now, another conversation that you should have, and I've alluded to this already briefly, is to understand what kind of product you're selling. And every theme is going to give you different characteristics and attributes that will either undermine the strength of how you're presenting your product, or it will emphasize it and strengthen that. So I guess, on a very basic scale, ask yourself if you have a very visual product, and if your branding is about storytelling and about imagery, and maybe you're linking it to your Instagram account and you already have a strong Instagram account following, or you have quality pictures and you really want to draw people in through that and create a certain type of emotion as people go through your store, then that is one thing. And now you need to look for certain attributes within these pages, within these themes, that really accent those. Now, on the other hand, if you have a product that is rather complex, then you need to set yourself up for something that has a logical layout where you can do and enter text in different shapes and forms around the web page, for example, where you can now logically create a path for that customer to follow as they go through your product, right? If you're selling something that is complex, whether it's a technical product or maybe even an educational product, now having a theme that is highly, highly visual probably won't do the trick for you, because now you're stuck with all these different types of visual banners and different selections within the theme, but they're not really getting you towards creating a logical flow of information that will point a customer towards the actual purchase. So keep that in mind. What is your product? Is it visual? Is it complex? What's your branding? Are you trying to tell a story, or are you trying to lead with information? And depending on that, you should focus on what kind of theme you're choosing. Then another question, and this is maybe a little bit more advanced, but for all you guys out there who may be thinking about having pre-sale pages, or even a step further, anticipating or trying to anticipate how warm your traffic is. And by warm, I mean how well is the customer that is coming to your site accustomed or aware of your product already, right? So if I see a ad for Nike, I'm going to click on it and I already know what I'm going to get. I know Nike. I've purchased their products for a long time, so I don't need to be sold on anything just yet, which means that I'm really not that curious or that cautious when I go to their checkouts, how their checkout is going to look like. I know it says www.nike.com, HTTPS. I know it's safe. I know it's the right site, so I'm going to trust that store, because if something happens, well, I just call Nike and they're going to refund me my product, or I'm going to scream. Now, with a brand that you don't know, or your customer might not know because you're brand new, you have to think about these things. And let's say if you are selling ads on Facebook and now you have traffic coming in that is extremely cold, and by cold meaning that a customer clicks on your ad, they have no idea who you are, but they're intrigued by your ad, and they click and they land on your page or on your pre-sale page or whatever it is. They will go through your checkout, and the checkout page is, or I guess the product page, which is right before the checkout page, is the one that is really important, because if you have a product page that doesn't instill confidence, it's not laid out properly, and it doesn't give the customer all the information and the securities that he or she needs, you are running into a high chance of losing that customer at the checkout process. And then you have abandoned carts, or the customer might not even ever go into actually putting the product into your cart, simply because that customer is not trusting your site. So also think about, when you're purchasing a theme, or when you're thinking about a theme, what does the checkout look like? And simply because that is a very, very important part of the selling funnel. And so again, if you have warmer traffic, or if you're selling through a pre-sale page where you can warm the customer up, then that might be of less importance. But again, I think generally look through any theme and really understand how well the layout is for any type of product page. Can I add information? Is it laid out elegantly? Is it laid out logically? Or is it kind of a mess and doesn't really run out that well on mobile? Again, the majority of your traffic will likely be mobile, from mobile traffic. So always make sure that whatever theme you're choosing also has a really, really great mobile integration. I would even say try and find a theme that really has put mobile first, so that when you look at, and again, I'll show you this, let's pick any page here, Kyoto. This looks cool. We can click on View Demo. And now up here, this is currently in the desktop phase, or in the desktop demo. And it's a really, really cool theme. Very visual, great. But now let's click on mobile and just kind of check out what it feels like on mobile. And, in this case, for me personally, it seems just like a very, very visual page, but it doesn't necessarily, for me, strike me as a page on mobile where I feel like I could really sell a product on. So I have to get all the way down to here to get to a text box. I mean, there's things you can move around, but I'm really kind of looking through layouts. So it gets a little bit better as we go down here. So I would probably rearrange these things a little differently. Again, this is just an example in terms of what the things to think about. Okay, so in summary, before I leave and let you guys go and enjoy your day, think about these things when you're looking at a theme. What's my product? How visual is? How complex is it? What kind of branding or what kind of strategy to sell do I have? Am I going to be getting a lot of cold traffic, or am I going to be getting a lot of warmer traffic? Do people know the brand? Do people not know the brand? And based on that, you need to make certain assessments and focus your theme selection around that. And then, of course, the big question, free versus paid. I think the logical step for you is to start maybe initially and practice on a free theme just to set up and identify for yourself within a day or two. It's going to be very quick for you to judge whether or not that free theme is for you, simply because the setup process really is not that hard. But more importantly, when you download a free theme and you go through that initial learning phase, really deconstruct it, move things around, and upload fake products so that you can see what it actually looks like, both on the desktop version and on your mobile. And start testing these things and see what the experience is like, and maybe even have a friend of yours or a coworker of yours run through it and compare that across different themes. Again, I think that jumping right into it is a mistake. I do think that eventually, if you're serious about selling, that you should probably upgrade to a paid theme, simply because you're going to have more flexibility, and in case anything goes wrong, you have support, and that is really, really, really important, because things break all the time. I spend a lot of time writing emails back and forth between developers from whether it's my theme or whether it's from different apps that I've integrated into my store. It is a constant back and forth in emails or phone calls. And so you want to make sure that you have access to that help. Otherwise, you don't want to build a platform on something that is completely stagnant, and now something happens. And now you run into the issue where you don't have a contact person and nobody's going to be able to help you. And that is, of course, an issue, because that means now you have to completely migrate everything over, and that could cost you a lot of time. Your store could be down, and then by the time you have figured out everything, the weeks can fly by. So keep all those things in mind. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help, and hope this video was helpful. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon.